On the Newsmaker again today, we are privileged to have with us the nation's #1 best-selling author, Ed Klein, author of Blood Feud, The Obamas and the Clintons, which has greatly outsold Hillary's own book. Ed, former editor of the New York Times Magazine and worked at Newsweek for a long time. I can't remember his title there. We'll find out shortly. Stay tuned.
Next on News Talk, AM 1480 WLEA, The Newsmaker Show with Kevin Doran.
This is not an anti-Clinton or an anti-Obama program. It really isn't. It's about what's really going on between these two families. One already a semi-dynasty. They'd like to make it a dynasty. And the other one has hopes for a dynasty. Ed Klein, what was your title at Newsweek?
I was the foreign editor of Newsweek for several years and then the assistant managing editor.
Well, you've got these liberal credentials, and I suspect that's why you know so many of the Clinton friends, and that's what your book is based upon. For those who didn't hear our other shows, Ed has been able to talk with people who are close to the Clintons, close to the Obamas, and are close to Ed. And, you know, if you had a conversation with the president, in fact, I was talking to a guy the other day who shook Mitt Romney's hand and knew everything about it, told me all about it. So I think if that happened to you, you'd remember what was said, and that's what Ed's books are about. Have I got that about right, Ed?
You sure do. I've been at this business of journalism for almost 50 years and have written 12 books, all of which have been on the bestseller list, including The Amateur, Barack Obama in the White House, and now this one, which is, as you just said, called Blood Feud, the Clintons versus the Obamas. And
The Amateur was a term that Bill Clinton gave to Obama in 2012 when he was urging Hillary to run then.
That's correct.
Would it be fair to say, Ed Klein, that the overwhelming drive for Bill Clinton is to see Hillary reelected? I think that's a fair statement.
It is a fair statement. I'd say it's his life's goal. And I think his real motivation in wanting to see Hillary elected president is to redeem himself from the stain that still circles around his name of the Monica Lewinsky scandal and the pardons that he gave to a bunch of very shady characters and crooks at the end of his presidency. He wants to cleanse himself of that and get the Clintons back in the White House so that they will be able to reign for another 8 years, making them the longest reigning couple since Franklin Roosevelt was elected 4 times.
Okay, let me jump ahead to the end of your book, and I've mentioned this on some other shows. You report that friends in the room at Chappaqua at the time heard Bill Clinton tell Hillary that, Hillary, if I don't make it to 2016, talking about the Clinton restoration now, he has a state funeral plan to the very last detail, and she, Hillary, should wear black, and that would be worth, in the words of Bill Clinton, 2 million votes. What does that tell us about this guy and about Hillary?
Well, I think what it tells us about Bill Clinton is that power and redemption are the two things that drive him, and that will even drive him from the grave. Whereas Hillary is, in a way, his avatar, puppet, person who he's using to regain the kind of central power in the world that he so sorely misses.
This reminds me so much of the medieval marriages of kings and queens. It wasn't done for love. It was done for power and for, in many cases, to bring peace. But in this case, it's simply to, as you say, restore his good name if he ever had one. His lifestyle, by the way, and you report this, but you don't over-report it in the book, has not changed. The Bill Clinton that we knew in the White House, kind of a teenage or maybe even a pre-teenage type.
Well, from all my sources, Bill Clinton spends a good deal of his time in his lavish penthouse apartment on the 5th floor of the William Jefferson Clinton Library in Little Rock. And has 50-inch flat screen TVs in every room, a big terrace that wraps around this penthouse, and he often goes outside on the terrace and chip shots golf balls into the Arkansas River for recreation.
Mm-hmm. Now, in point of fact, you report that Bill's health is not good. He has been told by his doctor, and he's told friends, that he has a progressive heart disease. He may not make it to 2016. But you also report in great detail that Hillary's health is far from good, too, right?
Yes, and she's going around telling everybody who asks her that, and she's telling them that she's in the pink of health, whereas, in fact, her own cardiologist has informed her that she has a heart valve problem that needs to be attended to. They even considered doing heart valve replacement surgery at one point, put it off, but she has to be monitored carefully for the rest of her life. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I can't predict whether this disqualifies her or not for the presidency, but what I can say, and I think anybody listening to me would agree, that she owes us, the American people, a full accounting of her medical records so that we can make a judgment whether she's healthy enough to carry on the duties of President of the United States.
Now, isn't it customary, you correct me if I'm wrong, at election time that the presidential candidates do release things about their health?
Well, they haven't been releasing their full medical records in recent years. What they've been releasing are précis or, truncated versions, 2 or 3 pages, summarizing their medical history, but not really giving us a full accounting so other medical experts can weigh in and tell us what they think about the health of these candidates. And it's particularly important when you think about it, the fact that Hillary is going to be 69 years old in 2016, which means that she and somebody like Joe Biden, who's even older than she is and tends to run as well, are not young people and need to reassure us that they're in shape to go through the rigorous daily grind of being President of the United States.
Let me switch to a different Clinton. Chelsea. You spend a little time talking about Chelsea. I'm sure you didn't develop this fully, but what is the role of Chelsea Clinton, age 32, in the so-called Clinton restoration?
She's playing a bigger and bigger role every day. As you know, the Clinton Foundation has been renamed the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Foundation, and she is now has the title of vice chairman. Her father, of course, is chairman. But in fact, Bill is spending less time on the Clinton Foundation and his other interests like the Clinton Global Initiative and more time on Hillary's campaign, turning over to Chelsea the running of the Clinton machinery behind the scenes. And there's no question, Chelsea's gone around making speeches for $75,000 a pop.
Wow.
She's been on NBC as a correspondent for $600,000 a year. She's been firing people in the Clinton Foundation and hiring her own people. She's becoming a power in her own right.
We're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll continue talking a bit about Chelsea and also the Clinton Foundation. So stay tuned. I'll be back with Ed Klein, author of Blood Feud, The Obamas and the Clintons. A tremendous book. If you haven't gotten it, order it now. On the show today, Ed Klein, author of Blood Feud, the Obamas and the Clintons. I'll say it again. If you have even the slightest interest in what's going on in the U.S. government, what's really going on, especially in politics, get this book. We were talking about Chelsea. She's 32 years old. She's making $600,000 a year as a special correspondent for NBC. I don't know what she ever has reported, but it's their money, I guess. She's getting $75,000 a pop for a speech. And she sits on the board, according to your book, of many very important organizations and corporations in this country. Is that because she's such a sharp gal, do you think, or is it because her last name is Clinton?
Well, I think it's because her last name is Clinton and because she's decided now that she's in her early 30s that she wants to follow in the footsteps of her parents, Bill and Hillary, and I think we're going to see more and more of Chelsea. She certainly intends to play a major role in her mother's forthcoming presidential campaign, which is a fait accompli. It's absolutely certain that short of a health problem, Hillary Clinton is running for president. And Chelsea is going to be there every step of the way because, as with Bill, she wants her mother and her father back in the White House.
For the days of Harry Truman when he went back home and cut his own grass. Now the presidency seems to be a stepping stone for some people, not all. Bush's didn't need it, but for some people a stepping stone to becoming a gazillionaire, right?
Well, that's for sure. You know, Bill and Hillary Clinton have, since he left the White House, made somewhere in the vicinity of $100 to $200 million on books and speaking engagements. They've cashed in their fame and their power in many different ways, including engaging in what I would call less than perfectly clean business arrangements with some shady characters. And they simply don't want to give up the limelight. I think in Bill's case, if he's not in the limelight, he doesn't feel truly alive. He needs that adoration, that applause. And Hillary, I think, feels that she owes it to him, to herself, to her daughter, and to all the people who have been urging her to run, and that's a lot of liberal women in particular, to make this last hurrah in 2016.
You say, and we talked about this earlier in our other interviews, you say that Bill Clinton made a deal with Obama. I'll support you in 2012. You support Hillary in 2016. Obama double-crossed him. And Obama's not supporting her and probably will, in fact, throw his support to somebody else entirely different.
Well, I don't think there's any question that Obama does not want to see the Clintons in the White House after him because he thinks they'll undo a lot of his policies. It's according to my sources, it's behind the scenes. Obama has authorized his chief political advisor, Valerie Jarrett, to open secret negotiations with Elizabeth Warren, the left-wing senator from Massachusetts, and has offered her financial and organizational support if she will challenge Hillary for the nomination. Elizabeth Warren has been non-committal so far, but she's certainly tempted, and I think there's a good 50-50 chance she might, in fact, do just that.
But you also say that while Obama double-crossed Clinton, Clinton was able to, if you will, triple-cross Obama, and Clinton won that. How do you figure that? What happened there?
What's happened is in the last several months, as Obama has shown again and again that he is, in fact, the amateur, that he doesn't know how to run the government, that our whole foreign policy is going down the drain, more and more people are abandoning him and his operation and going over to the Hillary side. And Bill Clinton has been able to hire away a number of Obama's chief political consultants to advise Hillary in 2016. So there's a kind of a tipping of the balance toward the Clintons. And even the leadership of the Democratic Party in Congress, Nancy Pelosi in the House and Harry Reid in the Senate, have been spending more time recently consulting with the Clintons about legislative matters than they have with Obama and the White House.
Well, Ed Klein, I'll say it again. I've said it many times. This is a fantastic book. And I urge you, listen, if you think you know all about it from these 3 interviews we've done with Ed, you're wrong. There's so much more to this book. Get it, read it, you'll enjoy it. I'm going to get a new book, Ed, called Clinton Inc. Isn't that what it's called, Clinton Inc.?
Yeah, there's another book out called that, yes.
And I have not read it, obviously. I'm going to get it. But apparently it's about this Clinton Foundation. What can you tell us about that? I mean, you didn't touch on it in your book, but I'm sure you know something about it. Is it fishy as it appears to be?
It certainly is, and in fact, I do have some material in Blood Feud, the Clintons versus the Obama, about the foundation and about Bill Clinton's relationship with the people who have been donating millions and millions of dollars to that foundation. As a result, Bill Clinton and Hillary have been living a very high style of life. Bill travels around in a twin-engine, $65 million Gulfstream jet. Hillary, of course, has got a whole entourage of Secret Service and political hangers-on. They live like kings and queens used to live in the medieval days. And yet, at the same time, she's talking about how she really is in touch with the middle class and the poor people in this country, and that's laughable.
Ed Klein, thanks so much. I can't wait for your next book. Everyone I've read has been wonderful. In fact, I'm going to order some of your older books because, A, you're a great writer, and B, your stories are just phenomenal. Thanks, Ed.
It's my great pleasure, and thank you for having me.
All right. Ed Klein, author of Blood Feud, and I really mean that. Again, you can love Clinton, you can love Hillary, you can love Bill, you can love Hillary, and you can love Barack, and you can even love Michelle, and maybe Valerie Jarrett, who apparently really runs the country. But you ought to know more about what's going on behind the scenes, and it makes tremendous reading. Now, I think personally, and I've said this to Ed on the air, that there should be this kind of book about every presidency. Because, you know, we sit there and watch the news and we get a small idea of what may be taking place. But only if Bob Woodward or Ed Klein or somebody comes along and says, yeah, but this is what's really happening. For example, I never realized that Valerie Jarrett is running the country. Barack Obama will contradict himself on Tuesday for something he said on Monday because Valerie Jarrett told him it was wrong. And it's happened, and Ed provides proof for it. And she is the secret genius in the background, if she is a genius. Let's hope she is, because she's really in charge. Now, stay tuned for more news and information here on AM 1480 WLEA.